Hello and welcome to yet another episode in the hundreds of That's Absurd. What's the other half? Please
elaborate.
Say more things. Oh, please elaborate. Yeah, that's right. I am a science communicator, and I am here with another science communicator, and we talk about science, which would be another way to say we communicate it. And you are a listener, I imagine, probably sitting somewhere, maybe standing. I'm not sure. I'm going off the rails here. We have a show where we answer questions that you, the audience, send us, and we talk about them and hopefully can answer them.
Wait, did you say we have a show that you, the audience, send us? Did I hear? I spaced out now. I'm lost. I'm confused.
Sorry. We have a show where you send us questions and we answer those questions.
Yes.
And you as the audience, not Julian, who I'm talking to right now. You'd think after 100 episodes we'd have figured this out.
This is by far the worst intro we've ever done.
Thank you. It's been a minute since we've done it because we had to take a breather after that massive 100th and 100 and a half.
We took a massive episode and we had to take a little break after that.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm Trace and I'm here with Julian.
Hello.
And we're here to answer your nerdy questions. So please send us questions. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe on the Patreon. Follow us on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube Music now. For some reason, we weren't there. And, shoot us a rating or a review or a follow wherever you happen to be listening right now, because that's how you tell other people that our podcast is worth your time. Thanks. Mm-hmm. So, Julian, what question are you going to answer today?
So, Trace, my question today comes from Zoe, who asked, how many bees would it take to sully a plane? I thought at first she meant sully it this plane has been sullied. We must get a new plane.
It's dirty.
It's dirty.
Blech.
Yeah, but that's not what Zoe meant.
Ugh. No, I assumed that Zoe meant take it down.
Yes, like Sully Sullenberger. So Zoe has some context. She says, me and my friends were joking about bees and naturally came upon the idea of a swarm of bees being sucked into a jet engine like in Sully.
Okay, hang on. Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
We were talking about bees, and we naturally came up with this idea of bees being sucked into. That just comes up as one does.
Why
you're just
not?
hanging out, and you're like,
listen,
I think bees are great. But what if a whole swarm got sucked into an airplane?
Yeah, you've got to consider all the places bees can be, and one of those would be in an engine of an airplane. Why not? Of course it's going to it must have happened, right? Surely it's
you
happened.
would know. You've hopefully looked into it.
I would, and I do.
Oh, good.
Anyway, she continues, we then wondered how many bees would Sully have had to have hit with his mighty plane to cause enough damage to warrant an epic water landing on the Hudson. That's my favorite part. Sully's mighty plane.
His Airbus A320-214.
Yes. Wow. Somebody looked it up just now.
I Googled it.
All right, Thunder Stealer. Okay.
Well, I knew you're going to talk about airplanes for an hour, so I may as well get one hit in there.
It is on the bingo card that one of our listeners, Evalie, sent in. She actually made a bingo card, and it's excellent. And the top left corner is Julian talks about airplanes.
Well, mark that one off there.
So that one, check. That's your bee right there. Speaking of bees, okay, before bees, actually, though.
Oh.
Miracle on the Hudson. So,
sure.
Can you believe this was already 16 years ago?
No.
It was January 15th, 2009.
Wow, that's a while.
Yeah, almost 17. It feels
time?
So recent to me.
It does feel recent, but for you, it's any airplane news. You're just like, I'm going to file that for need to talk about it soon.
Yeah. Wait for your chance in casual conversation to bring this up. That's a lot of tabs in my brain are bookmarked with that.
See, I pictured it more like you're sitting at a desk, very eager, and you've got lots of piles, and one of those piles right next to you that you're constantly straightening.
My hand is lightly resting on the airplane facts folder.
And you're just like, waiting for a gap. And you lift up the paper and then it's not the right time. And then
what are you talking about, bees? Hey, you guys ever think about bees and airplanes?
Oh my God, Zoe has a friend just like you.
Zoe's brain is equally disorganized. Okay.
That's great.
So
Excellent.
it was back in 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 from LaGuardia to Charlotte, so out of your backyard over in New York City.
As they say.
An Airbus A320 and other letters and numbers had a bird strike incident that caused an engine failure, and famously the captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger and First Officer Jeffrey Skiles ditched in the Hudson River. All 155 people on board survived, and so it was dubbed the Miracle on the Hudson.
Right. Even though, didn't the miracle happen before they got to the Hudson? Like, really, if we're being specific, like the Hudson, that was just where they stopped. Getting to the Hudson part. Once you're in the Hudson, you're probably fine. But it's really the miracle happened somewhere in between the bird strike and the Hudson.
I think once you're fully stopped is like the completion of the miracle, right? Because just when the airplane touches water, like you're still in a lot of danger, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
It's as physicists joke, right? It's not the speed that kills you. It's suddenly slowing down that kills you.
Right. The sudden stop.
Yeah. Decelerating very hard can be quite lethal. And in this case, it wasn't, hence the miracle. Wait, you're not saying the bird strike part's the miracle, right?
No, it's the piloting in between the bird strike and the stop. The miracle part is the person is good at their job.
I do think it's funny when we call these things like, oh, it's a miracle, because what about the bad stuff that happened to initiate this whole scenario? Is that an anti-miracle?
That was just Ganesh testing if they were putting the object and you were removing it or something. I don't know anything about the Hindu gods.
Did we go to Indiana Jones where he's like?
I'm just assuming, let's not norm Christian norms. Let's pick another god from somewhere.
All divine tests are based on weights and measurements.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was quite an unusual incident, and I will get into why. But I think the first thing to consider, if we're going to do a direct bee to bird conversion, or bird to bee conversion, is how many birds did Sully actually hit in the first place?
Yeah.
So here's the great thing about aviation accidents, which is a sentence I regret saying immediately, but people do investigations on these. In America, it's the National Transportation Safety Board. Mm-hmm. Usually investigations take well over a year, sometimes closer to 2. But once it's done, they put it up on their website, and you can go and look up any investigation report on any accident that has occurred that the NTSB has done an investigation into. And so I pulled the one up for the Miracle on the Hudson.
Cool.
And it goes into depth about how many birds this plane hit. And I think it's more appropriate to say it that way than the birds hit the plane, because it's really the plane flying at a much faster speed into the birds. Feels rude to blame the birds for it. But anyway.
It does feel rude to blame the birds. It's not the birds' fault.
The birds just birding.
What we say when there are kids around is when they're like, oh my God, bees, we have to run away or we have to kill it. And I'm like, the bee lives here.
Yeah.
We're just visiting. So yes, you can be afraid of the bee and worry about the bee, but let's not just go right to kill it, because this is where the bees live.
Right.
We don't live here.
That's a very human response to things. I always think about that with sharks when they bite somebody, like a surfer near a reef, and they're like, we gotta kill the sharks. And I'm like, that's their house.
They live there.
Yeah,
I think it applies broadly. It's I think it's a very good attitude to have when you're like, we need to get this out of here. And it's like, no, it lives here. We don't live here. Look, some people live outside. Most of, at least Americans, don't. Most. So, they live there.
So the birds here, well, they were in the sky. They were about 2,800 feet up, which is higher than other bird strike incidents I've found that have caused crashes or crash landings. But still, normally airplanes fly a lot higher than this. So this was on takeoff, was when the two paths crossed. The NTSB investigation collected samples of the bird, what remained of the birds, from all over the plane. And they came from a lot of places. They came from the right engine, the nose, the fuselage, and the left wing, and inside the left engine.
Wow.
And the left engine, GE, who was the engine manufacturer, actually tore it down to inspect it and get a better idea of what kind of damage the birds actually did to the engine.
Yeah, of course.
They sent these samples of feathers, bone, muscle, blood, all sorts of tissue, to the Smithsonian Institute National Museum of Natural History of a Division of Birds Feather Identification Laboratory in Washington, D.C. for analysis and identification. And DNA and feather analysis showed that the plane struck Canada geese, which are the angriest things that have ever come out of Canada.
They are.
They're so.
This is a fact.
They're so mean.
There's no debate here. That's just the truth.
I think of, you know how like polite Canadians are generally regarded as, I think they took all their malice and spite and they poured them into geese.
Are you saying geese are the one ring of Canada?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's why.
Exactly. It's exactly where I was going with that. Yes, the Canada geese are the one ring of Canada that contains all their hatred, and then they occasionally migrate into and out of the U.S.
Right.
Okay. So the average weight for a male Canada goose is between 8.4 to 9.2 pounds, and the average female Canada goose is a little smaller, 7.3 to 7.75. According to a USDA report, Canada geese are particularly hazardous to aviation because they're big, they're chunky, they have flocking behavior, so there's usually a lot of them in one place. They're attracted to grazing sites near airports, and there's two varieties. Some live in places year-round, and others flock into and out of as migratory birds. So the resident ones are an additional hazard because they tend to be around, airports if they kind of set up shop around there. The geese that Sully hit, though, according to DNA analysis, were migratory. They weren't local to that area.
Okay.
And the DNA analysis showed that the left engine had the remains of male and female geese, and the right engine only contained male geese. So at a minimum, he hit 3 geese in the engine specifically, because there were more bird strikes around the rest of the airplane. But the report actually thinks that based on the amount of damage to the right engine, it probably also ingested 2 birds, so 2 male geese.
Oof.
So that means 2 geese per engine, 16 pounds of bird per engine, or about 7 kilograms.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Now, would you believe it? The companies that make airplane engines and the regulators that regulate airplane engines expect birds to hit them every now and then.
I mean, they are in the sky.
Yes.
That makes sense.
So in order to get certified, engines actually have to be tested to how they stand up to hitting birds, and they have to have certain minimum standards.
And they do this how?
I feel like you know the answer.
I
feel like you're leading me right to it.
Let's assume I don't.
Trace, if you want to simulate a bird that's like the size of a chicken, hitting a jet engine at high speed,
right?
How do you think you're going to do that?
I make a chicken gun.
You make a chicken gun. That's right.
Chicken gun. And then I go to the store and I get a chicken.
You get a frozen chicken, you put it in the pneumatic tube.
And a bunch of really great high-speed cameras.
Yep. That's exactly.
And I have myself an afternoon.
Exactly what they do. You have the most expensive high-speed blender to make chicken goop you can imagine.
Yeah.
Basically. Yep. That's what they do. So airline engines are certified to ingest birds up to a certain weight and still produce enough power to sustain flight. So the ones on Sully's plane had to be able to withstand either 1 4-pound bird hitting the outer fan blade without catching fire, or 7 1.5-pound birds being shot at the engine in rapid fire, with 2 of them going through the core of the engine, so the more central part, and I'll get into why that's important in a minute.
Yeah.
And in that scenario, it can't lose more than 25% of thrust.
Wow. That's wild.
How much bird hit Sully's engine, each engine, though?
16 pounds?
16 pounds. So 4 times the acceptable amount.
Cool. Awful. Ooh.
Also, where the bird hits the actual fan matters, right? When you look at an airliner jet engine, right?
It has a little swirly in the middle.
Yeah. That's more
going
for the ground crew, so they know it's running, so they don't walk in front of it.
It's so cool.
For the same reason that, you don't want birds going through there.
Right, they are slightly larger than 1 4-pound bird.
Yeah. Probably kill them, and we don't want that.
We don't want that.
Yeah, but it's got that big fan, right, outside the spinner.
Yeah.
So a lot of thrust of an airliner's engine comes from that big fan just moving a large mass of air, right? And it blows it around the core of the engine. It just bypasses that part. And so it just blows this big mass of air, doesn't burn it, nothing, just accelerating air. Newton's third law, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That pushes the plane forward. But to sustain that and to get some additional thrust, some of that air goes through the engine core. And there's multiple compressor stages, right? There's a lot of basically smaller and smaller fans that squeeze the air together through these stages until, like in your car engine, the air is compressed a lot. When you inject some fuel in there and you light it, causes a big expansion of those gases. It burns. It produces more thrust. It's also thrown out the back of the engine. And as it's going out the back, it spins a turbine that keeps the whole engine spinning. So it kind of keeps propelling itself as long as it has fuel, right?
Cool. Yeah.
When a bird hits the outer fan blade part, it'll probably just go through that bypass, right? Around the core of the engine.
Okay, that makes sense. The propeller, like a propeller plane, interestingly. I never thought about it that way, but it kind of is.
Yeah, it's the principle's the same, right? You're just moving a big mass of air, right? But if the bird hits towards the middle of the engine and goes through the core, then it can disrupt that compression and combustion process and shut down the engine.
Right. If I learned anything from the documentary The Core, when they went to the core of the Earth to get it moving, like it would be really messy if you just threw a bird in there after the Hilary Swank went in there. I mean, she's the one who's got to start up the core, like if there was a bird.
If my brain is me sitting at a desk with folders of tangential information about airplanes, yours is folders of 80s movies.
That's not an 80s movie.
80s and 90s movies.
I think the core came out like 2004.
Did it? Okay.
I don't know.
The core. 2003. Okay. All right. I'll expand the time frame. I'll say from 1985 to 2005.
That seems fair.
That 20-year span you just got.
I was the
folders?
guy in the dorm in college that had a wallet of hundreds of DVDs, and I was like, let's have a movie night.
I bet you were.
Man, that's dating me on many
Fun.
levels. Anyway.
Okay. So there's some good news, though, with just the physics of how a spinning engine fan will help you out in a scenario like this. Because if a bird hits towards the spinner, the middle part of the engine, where it would be more likely to go through the core, because of those spinning fan blades, that rotation will fling it more towards the outside. So it's more likely to go around the engine through the bypass duct instead of through that core. Right?
Yeah, it's like the inverse Hilary Swank theorem.
I love you doing Hilary Swank math with your hands in the air.
Well, there's
because it's inverse. If you inverse the
you don't want to hit
the swank.
The swank. You don't want to hit the swank radius. You want to go outside the core. The swank.
The inverse
radius.
of swank is jank. So you want more jank.
You want more jank or less jank? I don't know.
So, but if you have too much bird, then it's not enough jank. What is this metaphor? Anyway,
jank in your swank.
It's too massive, right, for the blades to move it towards the outside. It goes through the core instead, and then it causes damage, right? It can either directly damage all the little fins inside there, or it can break things off, and that causes secondary damage that breaks more fins, disrupts that airflow. With the big old honkin' geese that Sully hit, literally, in each engine,
Took me a second to catch up.
There you go. You got it. One of them hit pretty close to the spinner. That's that central hub.
Yeah.
And so
within the swank radius.
It was in the swank zone.
The swank zone.
As I like to call it. Just an engine diagram.
There's the swank zone.
There's the swank zone.
And then there's the jank zone.
The jank zone. It hit the swank, not the jank.
Okay,
and that caused so much damage to the internals that both engines shut down. And then another goose hit in the jank zone, which would have been more okay, but it still, because of the swank geese.
I think we're confusing everyone.
Shut down. I'm losing my mind. Okay.
This is going to infect your mind like Umder has.
I'm taking a pilot license class right now, and now when they show the engine diagrams, it's all I'm going to be
like,
think of.
Well, this is the swank zone.
That's the swank zone.
That's when the bird's going to go through the core, like Hillary Swank.
So I mentioned that this was a rare occurrence. At the time this happened, when the report came out, going all the way back to 1960, there had only been 26 large transport aircraft that had been destroyed because of airstrikes with birds.
Okay.
So does not happen very often. Not something typical passengers should worry about day to day. It's just kind of a bad timing freak occurrence, right? So what about insects, though? Are there any reports on insects causing any sort of airline disaster?
Right.
Well, in terms of just insect strikes, you can actually look up on the FAA's wildlife strike database all the different reports of times that airplanes have hit wildlife. So you can search by state, airport name, aircraft type, all this.
Report
and then
strike?
in the bottom corner, there's birds/other wildlife, and there's a drop-down menu of a huge list of different animals.
Albatrosses, American minks, what?
Yep.
Oh my God, I'm just in the A's. Oh,
Yeah,
big,
alligators.
Big brown
American
bat.
alligators is in there.
Bears?
They're almost all in Florida.
Bears? What?
I learned, there's some things in here. I'm like, I didn't even know this was an animal. Chicken turtle?
Green herons, grebels, gulls, grouse, ibises, kites. Yep. Oh, well, kites make sense.
It's mostly
that's
birds.
Not even an animal.
But there are a few non-birds in there as well.
Mallards, yeah, of course. Loons, yeah. Limpkins,
Fox,
cool,
squirrel.
Fun. Old world vultures, old world sparrows, orioles, overbirds, ospreys, others. See remarks. Wow, pronghorn. You got to be specific. I bet you 99% of these, they're just like other bird. I don't know. It was a bird.
Yeah. Well, there is unknown bird.
Oh my. Raccoon. How does a plane hit a trash panda? How does it do it? How?
On the runway. It's not flying through the air. Some of these occur on the ground.
It is. The Rock has his own. If you hit Dwayne the Rock Johnson, you can go here. Oh, maybe it's Rook. Oh, it's Rook.
It's Rook.
I need my glasses.
Can you smell what the Rook is cooking? That rhymes better. It's a better catchphrase.
Skunks. No. Sora, the open AI system. If it hits Sora, then you're going to take it down. Anyway, okay, so I'm sorry. Please, that's cool. Wow. That's a lot of stuff.
So I searched through that looking for any reports of insects, at least enough that it would warrant like reporting to the FAA an insect strike. Couldn't find anything. I found bee eaters, which is a bird species that I just learned about, but no bees.
Yeah, what's a bee eater? Anyway, that's not what
it's a bird that eats bees,
about.
presumably.
Yeah, presumably. Cool. Very interesting.
So I had to look other places. I also looked through the NTSB reports to see if I could find any accidents involving insects, and I found a few, but they're not sullying the plane like Zoe suggests, right? I found there was a commercial airline accident where in 1996, the Virgin Air Flight 301, Boeing 757, crashed in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And the reason that happened, investigators believe, is that one of the plane's 3 pitot tubes, which is a little tube that incoming air as the plane moves forward gets like rammed into, and the pressure of that air will help tell you how fast you're going.
Okay.
One of those tubes was blocked by a wasp nest.
That seems bad.
Yeah.
Paper wasp, I assume.
I think it was a yellow mud dauber.
Ooh, okay.
At least we don't know. They couldn't recover the pitot tubes after the accident, but this is the theory.
Wow.
So the plane had sat for 20 days while it was being worked on for maintenance. And during 2 of those days, the little covers over the pitot tube were moved so they could conduct an engine test. And they think that was enough time for a wasp to go, hey, this looks like a great place to make a little nest. And nobody caught it. And there were warning signs, as with a lot of aviation accidents, many things have to kind of go wrong.
Yeah.
Like during takeoff, the pilots were getting conflicting airspeed indicators, and the system was saying, hey, you're going too fast. But also the stick was shaking, which is something that the airplanes will do to warn you that you're not going fast enough and you're going to stall. So like, what are we going too fast or not going fast enough? We don't know. Anyway, it led to a crash and the death of all 189 people.
Eek.
One little wasp nest that people didn't catch, and then some unfortunate decision making after that.
Right.
Yeah. That's why if you ever see, the little tags that are like remove before flight, right? All the stuff that's covering all the sensitive places on the airplane. That's why they put those things there, to make sure little critters don't get in there.
Yeah.
And disrupt
cause
things.
a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm. Something similar happened a few times with general aviation, which is, like a little private airplane, like a one-engine propeller airplane. There was a 2017 incident with a Mooney M20E, where, same thing, there was an insect inside the pitot tube that made the pilot think he was flying slower than he really was. So when he came into land, his airplane kind of floated above the runway because he had too much speed. And when you get close to the ground, you encounter something called ground effect, where your wing actually makes more lift than it otherwise would. And if you have too much speed on landing, you just float. So he was just floating down the runway, not setting down, and he tried to force it down, which is a no-no. And he porpoised, he bounced,
Yeah.
and then he went past the end of the runway and into some trees and a fence.
Well,
didn't die.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully it was okay.
Yeah, but it was expensive. It was an expensive dead insect in the pitot tube. And I found actually about 20 accidents like that in general aviation in the last 25 years.
Okay, so not quite one a year. That seems pretty low.
Yeah, considering how many little planes are also flying around, right?
Yeah.
And little planes, if you only have one pitot tube, you're more susceptible to this. This is why commercial airliners like the 757 I mentioned had 3 pitot tubes, right? So if one instrument goes bad, you have triple redundancy in commercial airplanes is a normal, common practice. I also found incidents where just hitting big swarms of bugs caused visibility issues. There was a 1968 North Central Airlines Flight 261 that hit a big swarm of bugs, and the windscreen basically got covered in guts, and they didn't see a little Cessna, and they hit it, and the airliner managed to land, but the people in the Cessna were not so lucky. The 3 souls aboard all perished. So, again, though, not sullying the airplane here, just causing some visibility issues that led to other safety problems, but the engines were still functioning. It's not shut down.
Yeah.
So, could bees do what the 2 geese per engine did to Sully?
Right. Like, could you have
enough?
Like 16 pounds of bees.
Right. Which I did the math.
That's a lot of bees.
About 128,000 bees.
That's a lot of bees.
It is a lot of bees. Although, when bees are like at peak season, the colonies are really big. They can have as many as 80,000 bees a colony.
Okay, so we're looking at like a couple of colonies.
2 colonies of bees per engine.
That's still a lot of bees.
It's a lot of bees, but I don't think it's unreasonable.
Yeah.
It's not like an absurd amount of bees. We should ask Kyle if it's an absurd amount of bees. Our editor and producer, Kyle, keeps bees.
Yeah, Kyle, jump in and tell us, is this an absurd amount of bees?
No, not really.
This is too many bees?
And I hope that he just says yes. And nothing else, no context. Or no.
No. And then we'll know.
And then we'll know. We'll listen to it and we'll find out. Just like everybody else.
Even with an equivalent mass of bees, or even more, I still don't think it's actually possible to sully a plane, a jet airliner, with bees. Because what I talked about with the engines flinging the stuff that hits it towards the outside, each individual bee is so small.
Right.
Those
bees ain't going in the swank zone.
They're not going to get in the swank zone. They're all jank, no swank.
All jank. Is anybody knows about bees?
Everybody knows about That's right. Right, but they're so small, it doesn't take much to accelerate them out to the edge of that. So it's not like one big fat goose, which, by the way, is also made up of a lot tougher, heavier stuff, like
and
bones.
Connective tissue, so it wants to stay together, whereas a swarm of bees doesn't want to stay together other than its own physiology, like not physiologically, just
and the bee body itself,
behaviorally. Yeah.
right? The bee body itself is also, it's a squishy little thing. It's a little delicate
He's a little guy.
thing in an
This little
exoskeleton.
guy, it's his birthday.
Yeah.
Little guy.
Oh.
It's his birthday.
They're just little gals. They're mostly
Yeah, a
gals,
bunch of
unless
little
we've got some
gals.
drones in there.
That's true.
It's their birthdays. Anyway, so I don't think it's possible, and I think this is substantiated by a 2020 Ethiopian Airlines incident where a jetliner flew through a swarm of locusts.
I'm looking at the picture. Oh God, it's like an Indiana Jones, or like a RoboCop situation. This is awful.
It doesn't look real. It looks like somebody painted on, or like a video game texture or something, right?
Yeah.
All the bug guts on the nose and the windshield and around the engine intakes. It's insane.
Wow.
Yep. They flew through a swarm of locusts. They had some visibility issues. They had to divert. They landed on instruments. And the plane was inspected and cleaned. Apparently it took 11 and a half hours, according to the Aviation Herald. And at the end of the inspection, it was determined not to have been damaged.
Like it was fine. It was just messy.
Fine. Just really
Just
gooey.
dirty.
Just pretty gross.
That's a lot.
But aside
And that's
from
got to
that-
be, that's got to be more mass than we're talking about with the bees. Like more than, that's a lot of locusts to make
just
that big of
eyeballing the
you
guts
can't
on
even
this airplane.
see through the windshield. Like, to describe it for the listener, it's a white airplane that looks like it's been streaked, like I don't know, for the rurals out there, it's like they went mud bogging, but it's with locusts, which I don't think describes it for most of the audience, unfortunately. But it's just, it's really bad. You can't see through the windshield. It's so gross.
It looks like... Okay, to bring up another movie from Trace's wheelhouse. In Men in Black, after they explode Edgar in his cockroach form and guts goes everywhere.
Right, because he wanted.
That's what Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones look like.
Yeah.
Yep, but on an airplane.
Edgar, your skin's hanging off your bones. Sugar.
So, Zoe, sorry to put a damper on the whimsy that you and your friends are having in your bee conversation, but I don't think there is a quantity of bees high enough to actually sully an airplane. I don't know if it's even possible.
Man. I bet you, or you just take a whole bee colony hive and you throw it in there. That'd be fine. But you have to somehow get
if
your
you've got
beehive to 2,000 feet in the air.
Like a wasp nest on your porch, and you can take it down, go to your local airport.
Throw it 2,000 feet in the air.
Go onto the jetway. They love that.
They love it.
And then throw it into an engine.
That'll work.
No,
fine.
don't do that, because like we talk about, they just live there,
Yeah.
Find some other way to get rid of them. I don't
know. Don't mess with them.
Wow.
Okay.
There's gotta be another way.
It's rare that we have that it's like, well, we can't really go all out on this one and make it ludicrous to make it happen. Unfortunately, but that was cool. I liked it. Thanks, Julian.
Sorry that planes are too well engineered.
You want to say anything else about airplanes? You want to talk about how
about
great they are? You want to just wax poetic about how much you love them?
No, we already talked that. We ticked that bingo card box. We're good.
Okay, well, let's take a quick break then and come back, and I'll answer a question. Also about wildlife, and also about being somewhere it shouldn't be.
This is your captain speaking. Welcome back to That's Absurd. Please elaborate. We just hit several trillion bees, but we should make it to our destination just fine.
Okay, before we move on, Julian, we move on, best pilot name you've ever had on a flight, because I have one, and it's a good one.
Oh, no. I
love it when the pilot tells us their name.
I'm ashamed to say I do not pay that close attention. I flew so much, and I would get in the habit of just conking out immediately on the plane that I don't think I was ever awake for any of the announcements.
Jealous, I can't.
What's your best captain speaking name?
This is your captain speaking, Rocky Stone.
Oh!
And I was like, and me and my buddy were like, no, that's not real. He's not really... Yeah, we'll be flying. And I was like, why does he sound like a sexy Zap Brannigan? What's happening? Rocky Stone.
His parents saw an opportunity. and they took it.
They took it. They're like,
they
look.
went for it.
Look, Moss. My dad's name is
stone.
Moss. My dad's name is Moss.
Moss stone.
My mom's name is Quartz. So
My brother's Micah.
Micah. That's good. I know a Micah. That's funny. Well, anyway, I have a question that I want to answer as well.
Sister's Opal.
Okay.
Anyway.
Opals are nice.
Opal's cute.
Very pretty. The question that I have comes from Pheonix, who sent us a clip.
Hello, my name is Pheonix. I'm from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. My question is, how many squirrels would it take to invade New Jersey? So the other day I was driving home from work and I was cut off by someone with a New Jersey license plate. This isn't the first time this has happened either. So I thought to myself, if I got rid of New Jersey, this wouldn't be an issue anymore. Now, I don't really have the means to accomplish this by myself, but I have noticed that there are plenty of squirrels where I'm from, so maybe they could get the job done. But I would need to know how many squirrels it would take and which ones would be the best. Would the gray squirrel be the best option? What about the red squirrel? A mix of multiple? We have several options here in Pennsylvania. What are the pros and cons to each option? And before you ask, this is all hypothetical, I promise.
So what very clearly has happened here is Pheonix has amassed several thousand squirrels.
Oh, I've got this ticket here for 7,000 squirrels.
And is waiting on instructions.
What can I do
He's
with
like,
these?
phase 1, complete. Phase 2, plan. Phase 3, New Jersey of all states, no less.
Yeah, why New Jersey?
No,
It's really
New Jersey
weird.
was deemed the most vulnerable to squirrel invasion.
Maybe it was. Well, Pheonix could well-trained squirrels take down New Jersey. I mean, firstly, you got to talk about training squirrels, right? Can you train a squirrel? The answer is yes. Of course you can. The eastern gray squirrel, the reason we're picking the eastern gray, even though it's not the most intelligent squirrel species, is because the most intelligent squirrel species is probably the western gray squirrel, and that is endangered. So it is illegal to mess with them. And so I don't want to do that. Let's do the eastern gray. Not the smartest, but should get the job done. They have excellent problem solving and spatial memory. They make food caches, which we've talked about in previous squirrel episodes, where you will, there was actually an experiment where these students on a campus, they just went and gave the squirrels food and watched them cache it. And what they do is the squirrel turns the food around really fast in their hands. We've all kind of seen squirrels do stuff like this. And when they do that, they're checking the nut to see if the nut that you've handed, like an acorn or whatever, has any soft spots where it might get rotten, holes where it might let something into it. And then they go and they do a little head cock to look at it to make sure it's good. And then they run off and hide it in a hole somewhere. And they make real caches where they'll actually bury food. They make fake caches where they dig but they don't bury anything. And if they know they're being watched by another squirrel, the squirrel will make a cache that's usually fake, hide the acorn in its armpit underneath its fur so you can't see that it's there, bury the cache, and then often take a little extra time to be I'm gonna put a stick over it. I'm gonna put a bar. So you're gonna to really hide it because they know the other squirrel's watching, and then they run off to hide the nut or the seed or whatever. Squirrels are cool.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think of people who've in stereotypes, they've snapped and they're trying to get me nuts. See, everybody's after me nuts. And
This is a thing. This is a thing I've not heard of.
No.
That sounds very specific.
Everybody wants me nuts. And
This is very autobiographical.
I gotta Who told you? Who told you about my nuts?
Is that where you were in June of 2019? I was upstate somewhere. I don't know.
Don't think about it too much. Don't worry about it. Think about other stuff.
So squirrels are, and we've described them this way in an earlier episode of the show. They're like North America's monkeys. They're mischievous. They're very intelligent. They will follow you around. They're social. They also have social learning, which I thought is pretty cool. I don't think I knew that. Squirrels can learn how to do things by watching other squirrels do it, which is unusual in the animal kingdom. That's a pretty advanced thing.
Yeah. Or they can watch for where others' nuts are buried, and then they can get their nuts, which is why you gotta be careful with your nuts.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you know
they're after them? Trace, they're after your nuts.
They're after me. Lucky Charms.
I'm gonna make you paranoid by the end of this episode. Trace, I'm telling you, everybody's after those nuts.
Well, I'm married. So they squeeze through a hole the size of a nickel. For those who are non-American / cashless, that's like a postage stamp or like half an SD card, which I think is probably the most universal of those. It's pretty small to be able to squeeze through that. They're pretty cool. So to invade a state, you could probably train them to do that. Like you can train any animal that is food motivated, and you can find a reinforcer. You can probably train to do things. You can encourage a behavior. You can discourage a behavior. When you picture squirrels invading, do you do the same thing I did, Julie? Which is like a little squirrel in like a helmet.
Think of the opening scene of Conker's Bad Fur Day, where he's like, yeah, it's a squirrel. Well, I think it's like a chipmunk, like storming the beaches of Normandy on D-Day.
Yeah, that's literally what I wrote.
Do you know this game?
No, but I thought I literally wrote like a squirrel version of Normandy.
Okay, I hate to tell you this, but somebody's done that.
Well, okay,
in like a Nintendo 64 game.
That's wild because that implies that there is a squirrel Hitler
yes.
And a squirrel Churchill and like a squirrel, and there's like a squirrel Supreme Allied Commander. And like a squirrel Eisenhower.
Hold on. Yeah. This was like one of those edgy games, you know, like your mom wasn't supposed to
like
rent it from you.
Jim? I don't understand.
Wasn't supposed to rent it from Blockbuster for you because it was, it's inappropriate jokes. But anyway, here's a cutscene from the game.
I'm watching it. He's in a boat and he's talking, and all the other squirrels are gray. They all have helmets on, and for some reason he's got 2 up chevrons. Oh, that squirrel just threw up for some reason. And then the squirrel in the center is a captain? I don't know how. But now they're having the squirrel version of oh my gosh, this squirrel is dead. Oh, there's fire everywhere. Oh God. Oh, there's bullets. The humanity. Well, the squirrelanity. Oh, interesting. The bullets hit the screen. This is a weird game. Who?
Yep.
What? This is weird. It's weird.
This is the only thing I know about it, by the way. I've never played it. I've just seen...
Let me just say, aside from the graphical implications, I don't mean it like that. It looks bad.
Yeah.
Doesn't look great.
Brought to you by the same studio behind Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So I don't think that actually Squirrel D-Day is the best option to invade New Jersey, okay? Firstly, you have to make lots of squirrel body armor. What a pain. Jersey has 9.5 million human occupants, and 2 million eastern gray squirrels probably exist, period. So you not only would you need a lot of tiny body armors and tiny weapons, you'd also need a squirrel breeding program that would probably go for a while. And then you would have to recruit every single squirrel that you got in the breeding program, which is then assuming, of course, that you can train them in some kind of combat that the human would be able, it seems a little impractical.
I love this idea that you have millions of squirrels on some sort of compound somewhere that you're trying to breed to at least get. What do you think of ratio you need squirrels to humans, right?
Minimum 1 to 1, like minimum. Minimum, but probably more like 10 to 1. There are people that are like, how many squirrels could you fight and win? And people are like, I think I could beat 20. And I'm like, you couldn't beat 5. Like, if a squirrel starts biting and scratching you, you're going to scream, you're going to run away. That's what's going to happen. They got claws. Their teeth never stop growing. They're fast.
I'm just imagining this breeding program that you're trying to keep secret. Like the government's not going to come knocking and be like, hey, what's happening here? Just like nothing.
Nothing. I just got some squirrels, man. That's just a couple squirrels.
Just me and my 8 million best friends.
Bring the pallet of acorns this way, buddy. Bring the pallet of acorns this way. No, I know. I got 20 more of those. Yep.
Right, and then like an Amazon package shows up and it's just full of like the tiny body armors and vests.
Come on, it would be an Etsy. It would definitely be an Etsy.
Yeah, situation. Support your mom and pop squirrel armorer.
Squirrel armorers, yes. So you've heard of operant conditioning.
Yes.
Right. So operant conditioning is a psychological system to reinforce, encourage, punish, discourage behaviors. There's also avoidance or escape, which are, again, ways to kind of control behavior. This is what I got my undergrad degree in, is behavioral psychology. It's a Bachelor of Science degree because this is empirically based. It's used for animal training. Behavioral training is not magic. So training a squirrel to do a complex behavior like use a tool or a weapon, you would essentially encourage them to look at the weapon, touch the weapon. Eventually, they would try and grab things and you would just be like, oh, you grabbed the right spot, so we'll give you a treat, It would take forever. However, maybe if you train some of the squirrels, you could use social learning to get the other ones to do it. If you can somehow encourage them, but like they
just got to get the first one. And
you just got to get the first ones. And then you end up with your squirrel. You get your general Patton, your general Squatton squirrel.
Right.
And then that Squatton stands in front of the giant squirrel American flag with acorns instead of stars, and they take over New Jersey.
What you need is one squirrel with a gun, which, would you believe it, this is also a video game somebody made.
No. I'm not actually surprised by that. Let me click on it. Oh, Dan Productions. Whoa, there's the dude. He looks scary, and he goes through the door. Oh, no, and a gun flies through the air in slow motion and lands in front of a squirrel. Slow crawl. Dutch angle. Twist. Squirrel. Twist. Squirrel. Eyeball. Squirrel with a gun. Honestly, love it. This is 10 million times better than the previous one.
Yep. So it's just a squirrel that can pick up various firearms. Like when it picks up the shotgun, it launches the squirrel backwards.
I was going to say the recoil alone is going to be a lot.
Yep.
Okay, Julian, I just want to abandon this altogether.
Okay.
There is no world where you could train squirrels to take over New Jersey.
Watch this gameplay
with weapons. It just cannot. I don't think it could happen. There's not enough squirrels. Right. There's not enough tiny body armors. Think of the tiny mess hall that you would have to, and they would all be hiding their food, and it would just be a mess. It'd just be a big problem. So instead, let me take you back. Let me take you back in time, Julian. Back in time. You ready? Let's Wayne's World style. Let's go back to 2016. Okay. We are now under the border of France and Switzerland at CERN, or at the border. The Large Hadron Collider is here. It's a 17-mile long particle accelerator underneath the border in a giant tunnel. 27 kilometers for those of the rest of the world who have a system that makes sense. It's the largest particle accelerator in the world. And we are a fly on the wall at a substation on the surface of, the LHC. Not in the tunnel where the actual particle accelerator is, but there it is. 328 feet / 100 meters under us. They're smashing atoms at 99.99999% the speed of light, actually faster. And they're, smashing things together, and there's huge magnets, and it requires a lot of electricity and power, and it's super amazing. It's like science and engineering Disneyland, and I've been there twice, which I only say because it makes Julian upset.
Sure did. We should add that to the bingo card.
So, sitting amidst the crickets, here we are at the power substation, and a stone marten climbs over the fence. It's like a weasel or a ferret. Gets into the substation, scurries around. Dun, 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 dun. Maybe it has its own theme song. Dun, 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 dun. All of a sudden, an 18 kilovolt transformer that the stone marten bit or whatever, and a neighboring 66 kilovolt bushings are damaged in an electrical explosion, arcing to the nearest ground, which is a lot. It can't go more than a few centimeters, so it's not like an arc like in a movie, but it's still pretty big deal. The marten is killed instantly, and the most powerful science experiment on Earth is shut down for days. It's a real story that really happened. Do you want to see it?
I sure do.
Okay, click on this link in the chat and describe it for everyone.
Aw. Okay, well, I'm greeted immediately with an image of a dead, it looks like a rodent, it might not be. It's gray, and its little pauses are curled up and charred.
Yep, that is the CERN Weasel 2, a real one. It's the real marten that I was just talking about. It's been taxidermied, and it's on display in Rotterdam in the Netherlands at the Natural History Museum in basically an exhibit of dead animals that have caused problems.
Oh, I wonder if they have the geese from Sully.
You know what? Maybe they do.
Maybe they do.
So the person who's the head of this museum says, quote, "It was scorched when you're not really careful with candles in your hair. Like that. Every hair of this creature was kind of burned, and the whiskers, they were like burned to the bare minimum, and especially the feet, the legs, they were cooked, darker, like roasted." And now, this is called CERN Weasel 2. Why is it called CERN Weasel 2?
Because presumably there was a Weasel 1?
Yep. The first time a weasel chewed directly into the 66 kilovolt transformer and was charred, and that little fella's not on display because it was a lot more electricity, but also because they didn't ask. They were like, nobody thought we should probably keep this, so instead they just disposed of it.
Hang on. Are you suggesting that somebody has trained various rodents to interrupt scientific progress at CERN?
I would never suggest that, except for this one time that a bird dropped a baguette onto the power substation and shut down the cryogenic cooling of the Large Hadron Collider's magnets, which I would think would be a pretty big deal. What could be more French than that?
Yeah, right?
A baguette. Seriously. True story. So the LHC has been shut down many times because of aminals. In 2015, John C. Ingalls, former deputy director of the National Security Agency, was asked about cybersecurity and infrastructure in the United States and said, quote, "Frankly, the number one threat experienced to date by the U.S. electrical grid is squirrels."
What?
In 2019, John Ackland, who works on the problem of wildlife outages for the Electric Power Research Institute, EPRI, said, quote, "It's really hard to defeat squirrels." In fact,
you're probably making these very informed, thoughtful people sound so dumb with this impression. Just squirrels, man. Squirrels.
Just squirrels.
They've got us at every turn.
We gotta worry about them. This problem is so widespread within the power industry that it has its own acronym. POCBS. Power outages caused by squirrels.
Oh, okay.
POCBS.
I thought it was going to be piece of crap squirrel bastards.
Honestly, it might be, but they call it power outages caused by squirrels. To the public.
CBS. Piece of crap bastard squirrels.
Piece of crap bastard squirrels. In 2023, any idea how many times squirrels caused a power outage in the United States?
Oh, man. If this is so common. Okay, 2023?
Mm-hmm.
Whole United States?
Yep.
I'm going to give you order of magnitude.
Sure, that's fine. Go within let's say you can get within 500. That'd be great.
Okay, because I was going to guess 100, which makes it sound...
No.
Yeah, based on what you said. Is it... I mean, it's got to be in the thousands then, right?
I'm not going to tell you. You have to
guess. Tens of thousands?
Not quite tens of thousands.
Okay, thank goodness.
Single-digit thousands, but still.
6,200.
You're very close.
Oh, am I?
7,200.
Okay, I was 100 off. I was 1,000 off.
You're only 1,000 off. That's still, that's a lot though. 7,200 animal-related power outages.
That's a lot of piece of crap bastard squirrels.
19% of all power outages in the Midwest were caused by squirrels.
What percentage?
19%. 19%. 1 in 5. All of the power outages.
That's
squirrels.
Nuts.
Yes, it is literally.
That is nuts.
And seeds. 13 million Americans lose power to wildlife every year. There are companies that exist specifically to make things that stop squirrels from getting on power lines called line guards. It's an obstacle course like Takeshi's Castle or Wipeout where they can fall off.
Backyard.
Yeah. There's pole guards, which are like a platform that keep them from climbing up, which my mom loves for her bird feeders. My grandpa just used to let them get on the thing and then plug it in. He had just a bare wire running on the bird feeder. You could see a squirrel and plug it in. It was very entertaining for him. And then, they even make wheels. So the squirrels, I guess, run on the wheel instead of going to the
I think what
transformer.
happens, if you've ever seen these, so the squirrel's weight makes the wheel start to rotate.
Yeah.
And then they try and hang on and it spins faster and faster and faster.
Amazing.
Until it flings them off.
That's great. That's great. So if we're going to invade New Jersey, why not just encourage a behavior that squirrels are already doing, walking on power lines and taking out power transformers?
I love it.
Right? Come on.
Guerrilla warfare.
Yes. Squirrella warfare.
Squirrel guerrilla warfare.
So we all know how power generation works, right? You heat something up and then the steam turns a turbine that works with oil, gas, or nuclear, etc. Hydro and wind, the actual fluid turns the turbine, and solar is a DC current. So New Jersey has 560 different power stations. That's a lot. That's a lot of power stations.
Just real quick.
Whoa! This is a squirrel spinning. That looks honestly like the squirrels at Disneyland. Do you think it's like excited? This is a very excited
I think
squirrel.
it just wants those tasty,
it's still
tasty
going.
seeds.
This is now 2 minutes in. And it's, oh my God.
Apparently there's a brand called Twirl a Squirrel.
Twirl a Squirrel.
Twirl
I
a
mean,
Squirrel.
That's great. That's excellent. Jeez. Okay.
Anyway.
Wow. New Jersey has 560 power stations. So we can't train squirrels to attack all 560. That would be too many. We could target the 200 or so power stations that are near the largest population centers outside of New York, Philadelphia, and the capital of New Jersey, which is?
New York City.
Trenton.
Oh, right.
According to GIS data, most of those...
But really, New York.
Yeah. Don't tell New Jersey.
Don't tell New Jersey.
The Californian thinks the capital of New Jersey is New York City. So according to GIS data, which is awesome, if you don't look at your GIS data for your state, go look at it. It's so cool. Most of the power plants in New Jersey are gas and oil with a few nuclear and some solar. They don't have any coal, really, which is cool. You know, there's still natural gas and oil, which, you know, they're working on it. However, Julian. However,
yeah, Trace. Yeah.
There are only 16 different primary transmission lines in active service throughout New Jersey. So why even go after the power stations at all? Let the power stations do what they do. Instead, we target the Bayway substation near Elizabeth, New Jersey, which also hits New York City, or the Roseland substation near Livingston. I'm not going to say anymore because now the FBI is probably listening to this,
we're on
and
a
I
list.
don't want to be on a list. But there are dozens of substations, and they are not hard to find. But we will leave it at that. So I get my Power Rangers and the squirrel. That's what
you call your sacrificial squirrels.
Yeah, because, you know, the rescue rangers, but these are the Power Rangers.
That are willing to end up like that Stone Martin from CERN.
Slipping through the cracks, but these two. Anyway, so we get them outside the substation. We've trained them with some basic behavioral science to just go find a transformer, either with the smell or the sound or vibration, you know, whatever it is, so that they want to go find a transformer and chew on it. And, you know, it's a suicide mission for the squirrel, but we can coordinate this and take out as many as possible within the same day. And I think conservatively, we could like knock out a large percentage of New Jersey's power because the squirrels already do this, like on their own.
Yeah, right?
So if we knock out the power to a large portion of New Jersey, specifically around New York, around Philadelphia, and around Trenton, we have essentially knocked out the power to the trains that go up and down the East Coast that aren't diesel powered. And we're also knocking out ways that people get in and out of New York City on the subway. And Philadelphia is in trouble. And maybe DC.
Wow, New Jersey really is...
It's right there in the middle.
They call Pennsylvania the Keystone State, but I think New Jersey really might be...
I mean, they're all right. They're all right there. Yeah. So, remember the time Texas got too cold?
Sure do.
Like one of the many times Texas got too cold in 2021, the Great Freeze.
Yeah, and the energy infrastructure was not able to cope with it.
Yeah. And they famously were, well, some people died. Not awesome, but they were famously too cold, and Texas did nothing to remedy this and is now just waiting around to whatever, have it happen again. 4.5 million customers.
Sure hope that extreme weather event doesn't happen more frequently.
Yeah, the once in a century storm that happens every year now. 4.5 million customers lost power. The damages were estimated to be $130 billion American, and in Texas, there are 30 million people, so you could, you know, say, okay, 15% lost power. New Jersey has a little less than 10 million people. Most of these live adjacent to New York in Trenton or Philadelphia. So let's say we have a coordinated attack in wintertime, and we get the squirrels to attack the transformers, and it takes a few days to repair the damage from each squattack from my Power Rangers. And we just keep sending them in, you know, they like fix the power and then we immediately knock it out again.
Yeah, we hold some squirrels in reserve.
Right. We could carve out huge chunks of New Jersey because, again, it's only 16 power lines, major lines with substations that would be along those lines. So we just have to target them. And I think, honestly, we'd only need like 200 trained squirrels. The question was how many squirrels? I think 200, assuming 10% fail in their mission and don't actually chew anything.
I mean,
Substations typically have 2 transformers inside. You send in a couple of squirrel commandos. You could do 90 attacks with 200 squirrels, assuming a 10% failure rate. You want to assume a 50% failure rate? Fine. We just need like 400 squirrels.
400 squirrels, right.
Not that many.
Can I just pause you right here for a second, squirrel-themed Batman villain?
Their furry tails. They're portents of doom.
They're after me nuts. What's the end game here? Just keep shutting the power off until they negotiate? I feel like I've asked this exact question before. I have, haven't I?
I don't know.
I'm getting the most massive deja vu where I ask you what the end game is of your evil plan.
I think obviously the end game is to take over Westco fruit and nut products in Irvington, New Jersey.
No, there you go.
Because they have 100% natural, high-quality fresh nuts and dried fruit, according to their website that I just found when I Googled largest nut producer in
Hand
New
over the
Jersey.
nuts.
There's also, of course, Nutsco, which is in Camden, New Jersey, which produces whole cashews and also nut butters. We are Nutsco. They're created to offer the best Brazilian and African cashew nuts to the American market. Think about it. Squirrels would just be so happy to take this over for themselves. I don't know what Pheonix's end game is. Pheonix asked a stupid podcast to find out how many squirrels that Pheonix needs to train. I'm telling him
once you've got the power
400
out,
or less.
Do you like send a ransom note like to the governor or like
look, maybe I just
like
want to be Squirrel Napoleon. That's all.
I just like posted Rottweilers at the substation, is what I'm saying.
Squirrels are
like,
faster than
I think
that.
we
They're
need
faster.
a deeper game plan.
Think how long it would take them to realize that the squirrels were trained and were doing this on purpose.
It's true.
It would take a while.
And not only that, it'd be that like, that Doctor Who episode with the statues that move, and at the end they show all the statues in public places to kind of imply like, what if all of these are like monsters that can move when you're not looking? That's how you'll look at squirrels from then on.
It's true.
Yeah.
So we like to pretend we're all in our ivory towers and our Starbuckses and our malls and our extreme races and adult obstacle courses and all those kind of things makes us more nature friendly. But really, the squirrels, they live out here, man. They're living in these streets.
They'd have to put the whole substation on a twirl-a-squirrel.
Yeah. So I say to my squirrel brethren, squeak, squeak, squeaking. Squeakity, squeak, squeak. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
So the answer is, I don't know, 400.
Probably 400. We really give usable information on
practical
this
advice on
podcast.
this show. This is Julian.
How many bees? Infinity. How many squirrels? Just 400.
Can you click on this link that I just put in the chat, please?
Sure.
Describe what you're seeing.
It's a disclaimer. And it says, disclaimer, don't do this in real life. This game is purely fictional and does not in any way represent a real substation. Real substations are extremely dangerous. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Just go ahead and
This
go.
is a web game where you can use squirrels to shut down power substations. Everything's been a video game with squirrels.
What is that about?
Every
How did
insane
you...
idea people have had with squirrels, somebody's turned into a game. What is this?
I love that you sent me multiple squirrel games.
2 games.
And I was like, I found this squirrel game that I thought you might like.
What? You planned this already?
Yeah, I did.
There's different
I've played
different
this game now.
classes. You can have a drone pilot, a hacker, or a ninja squirrel.
Yeah.
I mean, ninja, obviously. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is insane.
It's actually a really fun little game.
I can't believe this exists.
It's great. We'll put the links to these videos, these video games in our show
Pheonix,
notes.
you don't have to do it in real life. You could
Don't
just
do it,
play
Pheonix. Don't do it.
this insane
Don't succumb
Cyber
to evil.
Squirrel 1 web game. And that hopefully should scratch your nuts for this
itch.
urge that you have. Is that an expression
Yeah, it is now.
for squirrels?
For sure.
Set the several thousand squirrels you have captive right now free. You can let them go.
Just like in the documentary E.T., when Elliot set the frogs free. You can do it with your squirrels.
You don't have to do this.
Well, you've done it. You've reached the end of another episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. Congratulations.
And you're no better for it.
Well, then maybe so.
You haven't grown as a person. You haven't learned anything useful.
This show was produced and edited by the wonderful and definitely squirrel master, Kyle Sisk.
Mm-hmm. And written, produced, and created by the first lieutenant of the Squirrel Army, Trace Dominguez.
Ooh, and I would say second lieutenant, Julian.
Oh,
Higgin.
the British pronunciation.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
This show was also associate produced by Sabrina Capello. Our music is thanks to Epidemic Sound, and our intern is Charlie Woodbury.
Thank you to the listeners who submitted questions featured in this episode, Zoe and Pheonix. If you would like to submit a question, you can look for the form down in our show notes. You can email us at hello@that'sabsurdshow.com. You can visit our website, that'sabsurdshow.com/ask. You can call 302-TAPE-SHOW. That's TAPESHO. Clearly, whatever is happening in your brain that others find, like a bit off-putting, we love that stuff. So send that our way.
Send that to us, please.
That's our wheelhouse, baby. So keep this coming in. No, but seriously, you all have such strange, funny, weird thoughts that are such a delight just to read. I'm so sad all of you can't see the database because it's great. And the ones that we pick are just the ones that we think we can make a full episode out of, but there's so many good ones. So keep sending them in. We really appreciate them. They make the show possible. They make us laugh. We love them.
Thank you to our absurd administrators, Adam, Les, Austin, Jonathan, Dan, Sabrina the Brain, Hannah, Pinky, and Apothecarian. Thank you for joining Apothecarian. Welcome. Yeah. Apothecarian was our 100th patron.
Wow.
We did it.
That's bananas.
No, nuts. That's nuts.
That's nuts.
Yeah, you almost had it. You'll get there, buddy.
Someday
it'll be funny.
100 people listen to this show and they're like, you know what these two deserve? My money.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Nuts.
That is nuts. We are always eternally grateful for every patron. We get a little message in our Slack and we all go, yay! So thank you very much for making our days. All of you, happy anniversary to some of our ridiculous researchers and absurd administrators. That would be Jonathan, an absurd administrator for 6 months. Congratulations.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
We've also got several other new ones that joined along with Apothecarian. That would be Puku, Cal, and Terry Lee. Welcome. We hope you enjoy voting on more questions that'll be coming in the future. And I think I'm going to have to upload the bingo card that was sent to us, or a bingo card randomizer. We need more, though.
We read all of our emails that are sent to us, and Evely, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I'm so sorry, sent us a bingo card that they made, and it's really good. And so
how many did we get on this episode? Let's see here.
Yeah, so the bingo card has a bunch of different things, like Julian talks about airplanes,
That's
check.
An easy one.
Gripe time, no gripe time this time. I didn't mention Star Trek. Someone does a journalism. Man, didn't do that. Julian mentions Pepper. You did mention Pepper, but before we started recording, because you're talking about taking Pepper for a walk. Julian didn't do any math on this episode.
I didn't do math this time. Well, I did. I multiplied the weight of bees by the number I would need.
That counts. That counts. There was
to make one goose. I didn't
number
show
of
it,
bees
but I
to
did
a
it.
goose. Americans will do anything to not do metric.
Yeah. How many bees is that?
An aggressive cackling, yes, of course. We
yeah, that's in there too.
There are a bunch. Anyway, we'll put these out there.
If Julian mentions Pepper, that's a bingo. That would cut it on this card.
Good. So
that's excellent. I'm gonna give myself a prize. I'm gonna go buy some nuts.
So if you want to see clips from the show, you can join our social networks. Find us on That's Absurd Show on Instagram. We're on Instagram. We're there. We're sharing reels. Sabrina makes them. They are unhinged and perfect.
we love them for that.
Yeah, it's great. And a special thanks to those who are listening to this show over on Nebula. We see you. We count you in our numbers, and we have just surpassed 500,000 lifetime downloads. We are really excited about that. It's huge for our show. It's really, really awesome. Nebula listeners, they basically give us kind of monetary support just by listening to the show, but they also get all sorts of other benefits because they're in Nebula. They can watch original programming, other YouTubers. If you want to join and support the show by joining, go to go.nebula.tv/that'sabsurdshow. And thank you if you choose to try it out. You get a discount, and it's pretty awesome. But, Julian, what do we say at the end of every single one of our episodes? For 102 episodes now, we've been saying...
Don't fear the bees, but beware the squirrels.
They're all jank, no swank.
All jank, no swank.
All jank, no swank.
That's really the catchphrase of
the swank zone.
Now I'm picturing, oh man, my brain, like the chicken gun firing, but like at an MLB, like strike zone. And an umpire being like, nope, that was out of the swank zone.
That was jank.
That's a strike, bird strike.
Just make sure you got enough swank in your jank. You know what I'm saying? Swank in your swank tank.
Not enough swank in the tank?
We'll see you next week with another ridiculous episode.
You can take that to the bank.